Yeah, good morning, Facebook and YouTube. Welcome to mini lesson number 18. 7 reasons why every drummer should learn to read. Okay, have I lost your interest already? I kind of feel like a parent trying to convince my kids of why it's beneficial to eat your veggies or something. You're not my kids, and I'm not trying to be condescending. But it has that feeling because I know that so many drummers have it in their mind that it's like eating veggies, or it's like a chore. It's like something that is not really going to benefit me, and it's someone telling me what I have to do, something that I don't want to do. So I hope you can try to get that out of your mind, because I want to convince you that eating your veggies is good for you, and learning how to read is only going to help you as a drummer, okay? So maybe you have all of your objections in mind. You have every reason why you don't need to learn how to play, or you don't need to learn how to read. You've gone this far without it, so why does it make a difference at this point? Or you can tell me all the famous drummers on famous albums who never learned how to read, and so why should you? I get it. I've heard the arguments, and you know, any drummer can do as they wish. But I'm here to say that, what do you have to lose? I mean, it might take a little bit of work, and maybe it'll cost you 20 bucks to buy a book or something. But seriously, you will only benefit from learning how to read. So please read. Yes. Okay. So I have some slides here. Let's see if I can get them to work properly. Reason number 1 is education at your fingertips. I have a stack of books and curriculum from music school that's, who knows, this high or a foot deep. And anytime I want, I can go over to that stack and find any topic I want to learn on the drums and learn it and teach it to myself, because it's all written notation. So if I didn't know how to read, I would not know how to use any of that, and I would be totally reliant upon going to YouTube and having to copy a drummer or listen to something, and it's so limiting to be able to have to do that. So that's one major reason, is you can educate yourself. And yeah, I mean, even some of the notation I have on my videos, I have the notation there, and you can screen cap it, and you can take it to the practice room and work on it without having to rewind the video and play it back and listen and copy. It's like you can read and it's all right there. So that is a major one. I mean, that's a lot of money saved, and a lot of education, a lot of stuff to learn on your own. Here we have reason number 2, a greater understanding of music. So as you work through reading and just know how rhythms work, and by the way, side note, that since I'm talking to drummers, I'm just talking about reading rhythms. You know, of course you can read melodies and the melodic aspect, but for the most part, drummers on the drum kit or snare drum are going to need to know how to read rhythms. So I'm specifically talking about reading rhythms and drumming notation. So more power to you if you want to read the melodic aspect and, you know, study on piano or marimba or whatever else, any instrument. But the greater understanding of music related to rhythm. You'll understand how everything breaks down, where your notes are being played, and because of that, you will be able to understand what's happening in music you're hearing or music you're learning. You'll be able to communicate it better with band members or with students or whatever, teachers. So that's a big help there. And then let's move on to reason number 3, is growing your rhythmic vocabulary. As you work through all these different rhythms and read whatever books you're working through. It's the same thing as someone who's an avid reader. You know, people who read a lot always have better vocabularies than those who don't. And I'm trying to be better about reading, by the way. But in the same way that people who read a lot have bigger vocabularies and more to pull from straight off the top of their head, drummers who know how to read music have more of a vocabulary in rhythm. So you'll just be able to, since you can break it down mentally and you've worked through so many different things, it's like all of that's in here and you have more to draw from. So that's a big one. Just creating ideas on the kit, or hearing stuff, you're able to, I'm getting ahead of myself. You're able to make stuff up more and have all of those benefits. Did I just put the wrong one up? No, that was right. Okay. Reason number 4. Pick up on rhythms more quickly. So when I say this, if I'm listening to a song with a student or on my own, I can hear a rhythm and know exactly what it is very quickly, and those who know how to read can do the same. Obviously, that is not limited to someone who knows how to read, but when you do, it's kind of like your brain just pieces it all together, and sometimes you can even visually see the rhythms in your head. So it's like you can pick up on stuff much more quickly just because you know the rhythms more thoroughly and have a deeper understanding of it. So because of that, you can just learn stuff more quickly. That's a big one. That saves you time, and time is a big thing. Like if you're playing with a band or having to learn music, and let's say you're rehearsing and someone plays something that they want you to remember, you hear it and you'll know it much more quickly because of knowing how to read. So very practical stuff here. All right, let's move on to reason number 5. Ability to write out your own drum parts. So this is somewhat of a side project that you'll have to take on if you're learning how to read. But when you know how to read, you know how to write for the most part. And knowing how to write will enable you to memorize things more quickly. Not only memorize them more quickly, but if I had to learn a song or let's say I was in that rehearsal and the guitarist wanted to play a certain rhythm and do all these hits together, I could write them down quickly. And let's say we weren't going to meet again for 2 weeks or a month, whatever. I could refer back to my notes and know exactly what it was without having to record it on a voice memo and say, hold on, I got to listen to this. It's like I can just look at it and I know it was there and there's no question about it. So there's so many reasons why this is so helpful. I mean, even if you just have a drum idea, you can write out exactly what it is, and you just have it there. Same thing. Let's move on to number 6. Okay, learning songs more quickly. Not everyone has to learn songs quickly, but who doesn't want to save time? Yeah, as you learn how to read, since you can pick up on rhythms more, you can write your own parts out, and if you know how to write good charts and read them, you can learn songs really quickly. And I'm going to make another video later on about how to make quick charts. But there have been numerous times as a working musician where I've been called to do a gig that night. So without knowing how to read and make charts, that would have been nearly impossible, and not to mention incredibly stressful. I mean, those were stressful, but knowing how to read and write and knowing how to break down songs and have understanding of the whole format and everything, I was able to learn, I don't know, more than 10 songs in a few hours. And because of knowing how to read and write, I mean, a drummer can tackle gigs the same night if you know how to do this stuff. So that leads us to point number 7, which is, you guessed it, more gigs. And I am not making any promises or guarantees here, but when I moved to San Diego, after my first real band thing as a band member, and I was starting to do freelance work, I contacted one of the guys in town. Shout out to Craig Zarkos. He's passed on now, but he was like a mentor to me. And one of the first things he asked me was, do you know how to read? And since I did, he handed off some gigs to me, which required knowing how to read. And the thing about players who can play and don't know how to read versus those who do is not that these guys are incapable of playing the gig. It's just that you need to know how to read to get certain gigs, regardless of how good you are and how fancy your chops are or whatever else. If you can play, if in theory you could play every song perfectly, you know, that's one thing. But without knowing how to read, that's this other component where you're actually losing out on those opportunities. So I have gotten gigs because of knowing how to read, and I've been able to take gigs that required learning very quickly because I knew how to read. And it's not just me, and it'll be you too if you work at this stuff. So I totally encourage you to read regardless of whether you're just an enthusiast doing it on your own. You'll have the benefit of learning stuff more quickly and being able to educate yourself. Or if you're trying to pursue it more professionally as a drummer, this will open up more doors for more gigs. So this is so practical and so beneficial. And seriously, like I said earlier, what do you have to lose? So I challenge you to just go for it. A little every day. You know, you could practice 5 to 10 minutes and you can get by within, I don't know, a handful of weeks or definitely within months. It's not like rocket science or anything. It's simpler than you may think. So I encourage you to do so. If you don't know where to start, I recommend a book by Gary Hess. He taught at Musicians Institute when I was there, and he wrote this book. It was the actual textbook for the reading class, and it's called The Encyclopedia of Reading Rhythms. It's nice and thick, and it goes gradually through each topic and gives you multiple pages to work on for whatever is being taught. So I like it for that reason, because a lot of drumming reading books are really small. It's like, I don't know, 30 or 50 pages, and each topic is 1 page or 2 maybe, and then they move on to the next. So this one's way more thorough and in-depth and gradual. So I highly recommend that book. I use it with my students, and I use it for exercising my own reading, and you'll love it. So you can find it on Amazon. I think it's $20 or so, and I'll put a link below this in the YouTube video where you can find it. So that's that. If you think you would benefit from a series of, if I taught a series of how to read music and you would want to learn from that, let me know in the comments, and I might do that. So your feedback would be helpful in that sense. And if you want to grow your skills on the drums, send me a message through my website, spencerkimlessons.com, and we'll get you going in the right direction. We can work on your goals and make some progress. So if you're watching on YouTube or Facebook, you can like and subscribe. Hope you got something out of this. I'm always aiming to make these beneficial and add value to your drumming experience. So I hope this helps, and I'll see you on the next one.